Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for being here. It's so good to have you. Welcome back or welcome if you're new. And if you've been following my channel so far, you'd know that we've been diving deep into developmental psychology. So this is a series about how humans grow, learn, and change across a lifespan. But don't worry, that series is still rolling. But today I do want to start something a little bit different, not too different. It's still in the realm of psychology. It's a second series and it's going to run alongside developmental. So we're going to call this series Sensation and Perception. And so I think this shift is kind of needed. And plus, I'm studying kind of all of this at once anyway. So I thought it'd be good to share with you guys just like the different ways we could see psychology, because I think often psychology is more seen as just how you read people or like mind reading perhaps, but there's so much more to it. There's just I don't even know where to start. There's just so much more. But let's just start here. Let's start with sensation and perception. So the shift is because before we can talk about how we develop, we also need to ask, how do we even take in the world? So when I first learned about this, I was just completely lost. Like, why am I learning this in psychology? Why am I learning about like basic physics in psychology? But just think about it. Everything we know and learn and respond to starts with sensation. So how we even see, how we feel, how we taste, how we smell. So this is all sensation. And with raw inputs from such things as light and sound and perception, the brain's interpreting all of those inputs. So in this new series, we'll explore the fascinating science about how we see, how we hear, and how we make sense of our surroundings. And today in episode one, we're going to start with the big two, vision and audition. So vision and audition, eyes and ears. Let's start with vision. Everything we see is light. That might sound a little bit poetic, but it's literally true. The objects we see, like everything we see around us, it actually doesn't have color. My shirt, it doesn't actually have color, but it just reflects off a certain wavelength of light. So our brains actually interpret these reflections as color. Crazy, right? I never even thought about that in the first place. I thought my shirt is blue because it's blue, but no, it's just the light that's reflecting off the sun or into the screen. And screens, I don't even want to get into that because I don't think I fully understand it, how screens can perceive more light, but I'm sure it's somewhere there. But yeah, humans can only see actually a tiny slice of the electromagnetic spectrum. Fancy word for just the whole color spectrum. So this is from about 380 to 700 nanometers, and that's the rainbow from violet to red. And there's a reason for that. We can only see a little bit of the spectrum. Oh, I don't know if it gets into it, but fun fact, some animals can see so much more. So some birds, and especially a shrimp, a mantis shrimp, I'm pretty sure, can see like insane amount of colors, but we can only see like this much of the spectrum. And that's because for evolution wise, apparently this is proven to be important because the sun, we don't want to be burned, we don't want to see too much, and it's also important to stay safe. So too short, like ultraviolet, damages our DNA, so yeah, that's not too good. And too long, like infrared, so ultraviolet is like of the short, and too long is the infrared. The infrared tends to it's our body heat. So I don't think we don't want to see like body heat all the time. We don't need that. Cold-blooded animals do that, and because we are warm-blooded, I don't know the reason why. Let's just call it evolution. But yeah, so visible light is really just like the sweet spot for us to see. And here's a developmental twist. Babies aren't actually born with seeing all of that. At birth, their world is almost shades of gray. So I think from a different class, I learned that the babies can actually only see like this distance, and it's just literally the mother to the baby. Oh, so cute. And yeah, it takes a couple of months for their cones, which is the part of their eyes. I not to get too like wordy with like the scientific terms, but the eyes have rods and cones. We have 3 cones and 1 rod inside our eyes. And so the cones, which is the cells that detects color, it takes a while for them to mature enough for them to see reds and green. And so slowly, their color palette fills in, and by about 4 months old, they start seeing like adults. 4 months, imagine that. So yeah, now let's talk about how eyes are built. evolution has come up with some wild designs. So some insects have what's called compound eyes, and that literally looks like mosaics, which is great for motion detecting, but not great for sharp details. So imagine flies. My lecturer was like really like disturbed by the idea that some flies in like cartoons, their vision is like little hexagons, and it's like multiple images, but that's not accurate. Like that's not how vision works. We believe, or he believes, that it's just one image. It can't be like multiple images, because that's just not how the brain works. But yeah, fun fact. And so other animals, some mollusks uses mirror eyes, which is like bouncing light from satellite dishes. So mollusks. I think the mollusks use mirror eyes, bouncing light like satellite dishes. Sorry, as you can see, I'm trying to keep myself on track by reading a script. The mollusk, I think that's the, what's it called? Oh, like the animals in the shell. Not the animals, the scallops. I'm pretty sure it's scallops. They have like these strange eyes that's just like satellite dishes. But however, humans, we have lens-based eyes, which means that our cornea, which is like that kind of like glass thing that looks like a contact lens that kind of sits outside our eyes, this bends incoming light and reflects it into our retina. Yes. And that's what captures, it's a whole process. I'm sure we won't go into too much detail about it, but it is a very insanely cool process, because this has been studied for centuries. Like I think vision is one of the most highly studied science, because it's just crazy how eyes can actually like take information, and apparently it's meant to be upside down, but our brain has adjusted it to rotate. Heaps of cool things. So inside the retina are rods and cones. I've mentioned this briefly before. Rods are our night vision specialists. They are super sensitive, but they don't do color. No color in the rods. Whereas cones, they handle daylight and color. And the very center of a vision, the fovea, is packed with cones, heaps of them, which gives you sharp detail. In the periphery, which is like kind of like the outside. So this is our fovea. You can see a lot when you're looking like straight ahead. But in my periphery, it is rod heavy, not cones heavy, rod heavy, which is why you're better at spotting faint stars by looking slightly to the side, not looking directly at them. I got that wrong in my quiz. Oops. You're better at spotting faint stars by looking slightly to the side, not directly at them. But yeah, babies again start out with fuzzier vision because their cones aren't fully wired yet, and their visual world sharpens over time. See, I'm learning again as I'm reading this, because I did have a quiz on this like not long ago, and I did get that starry question wrong. Whoops. But look, we're learning together. That's why this is such a fun space, I feel. Just to learn and consolidate, and also just share psychology with any interested listeners. If anyone is actually listening, which is good. I think the main goal, if you made it here, the main goal I think for this channel right now for me is not to make solid, good content. I'm trying not to like focus so much on the content, but so much on the consistency of actually sharing, recording, just getting into the routine, because life is a juggle. There's recording, there's studying, and there's also kids and family and cooking, cleaning, all that in between. So yeah, thank you so much for being here and supporting. Yeah, looking forward to just keep going. It's gonna keep going over the long run. Yeah. So now back to the topic. How do cones actually give us color? So that's where theories come in. This is the first trichromatic theory. Fancy word. We have 3 types of cones. There's a short, medium, and long wavelength. SML, short, medium, long, which roughly corresponds to blue, green, and red. Fun fact, light and vision is blue, green, and red. I know like we learned about primary colors for like paint and that, which is red, blue, yellow. but light is like a completely different ballgame. I was pretty confused. I thought there's only 3 primary colors, but this is light. Light is red, green, blue. And so mixing the activity in different proportions, and you can make all colors. And that's the basis of TV screens and phone displays. There you go. TV screens and phone displays uses RGB, which is red, green, blue. So everything you see in the images, all the colors you see, I think my hand is based off the 3 colors. Yeah. But there are puzzles in trichromacy alone that can't explain. So even though this is a great theory, there's things that it can't fully explain, which is why we can't see a reddish green or bluish yellow. Have you thought experiment? Can you imagine a reddish green? Reddish green. Like the reddish green. Actually, I can imagine a reddish green. Reddish green like a fruit. Like an apple, or apple turning to, like a green apple turning to red. So kind of, but it's kind of, you can clearly see the contrast, I think is what they're saying. You can like, yeah, there's a big contrast, or reddish green or bluish yellow. Yeah, you can see the contrast. I guess that's all it is. But why do we experience 4 pure colors, which is red, green, yellow, blue, instead of 3? That's where the opponent process theory comes in. And so the brain doesn't just add up cone responses, it actually compares them in opponent channels. Red versus green, blue versus yellow, and black versus white. So the opponent process theory. That's so cool, isn't it? So this also explains after images. After images is when we stare at a square for about 30 seconds, then look at a grey wall, you will see green. So I wish I can once I get better at this, I will put more images in that to make it more interesting. But as for now, it's just me rambling, and thank you for staying around. But yeah, if you stare at a red square for a while, for like 30 seconds, if you look at a grey wall, you'll actually see green, which is actually the complete opposite of red, like the opponent of red. And that's what we call the opponent channel, which is the rebounding after red cones fatigue. So our eyes actually rebound. Yeah. And so then there are illusions. And of course, I love these. Love illusions because it's so trippy. Again, I wish I could show you guys. We'll get better at this. Thanks for staying around. Because they expose how clever the brain really is. Like the checker illusion, checker shadow illusion. The 2 squares are exactly the same shade of grey. Oh, really no point talking about it. I can't actually show you. Okay, so because I can't really show you the images yet, I think the best thing to do is let's just talk about it a little bit more and see what else I can cover without actually showing you the coolest illusions in the world, because it blows your mind. I mean, like the simple one you can think of is the golden dress or the black and blue, white or gold. Like so many like trippy, color illusions. But this, like the color illusions, isn't your brain actually failing, it's actually doing its job. So what the brain's trying to do is trying to figure out the true color of the surface and not just the light hitting your eyes. So our brain is like constantly trying to adapt and just see things for the way it is. This is also a theory called color constancy, which without it, our world would actually change colors every time light is shifted. So like it will be completely different, but our brain tries to keep things consistent, and so we've adapted to a way where it's just incredible. It's actually absolutely incredible. I can't get into the nitty-gritty of it enough because I won't be able to do it justice. But just imagine your favorite toy or your coffee mug or perhaps your partner's shirt that looked completely different every time you stepped into a new room. So we can't every room has a different illumination, right? So every room has different lighting. So just because we're in a different room doesn't mean our colors is going to change. Like if I walk from here outside, the sun's not going to hit it as good. It doesn't mean that my shirt's now going to be grey. So this is the theory of color constancy. And it's not just color. We also have size constancy and shape constancy, which is our friend doesn't actually shrink as they walk away. Or a circular plate doesn't look round even when we view it at a different angle. Our perception is about stability, which is awesome. And so I think we just give that a wrap today with vision and color constancy. We've gone from light waves to rods and cones, to theories of color, and finally to illusions that show us how the brain interprets the world, which is a lot, I think, for for one video. I mean, it took me like ages to actually wrap my head around it. But next time, and I fully haven't wrapped my head around it. Don't get me wrong, I fully haven't, but I'm determined to. So next time we'll shift from light to sound, and we'll dive a little bit into audition and how air pressure waves become pitch, loudness, and the rich textures of music and speech. So stay tuned for episode 2 of Sensation Perception. If you've enjoyed this, please hit a like, subscribe, and just let me know in the comments anything. See you next time, guys. Thank you.